Good evening, everyone. Let's go ahead first and take our deep breaths. We'll take 3. Another deep breath. One more deep breath. Sending lots of love and blessings. Thank you all for being here with me. I so appreciate that you're spending your time with me. All right, so today is December 5th, 2021. The day adds up to 22-4, which is the Fool and the Fool's Journey. And the 4 is all about building stability, structure, the home, marriage. And the 4 is very important today, actually, because in the read that I did for today, we had all 4 4s come up. Very significant, because all 4 of anything in the deck rarely comes up. So there's all 4s, so it's very much about that energy of survival, because 4 is about manifesting on a survival level as a very 3D energy that we need to survive on this planet, as opposed to manifesting your dreams, which is the 8, the elevated octave of the 8. So we're dealing with the survival energies today in that 4 of the Fool's Journey, leaving the Wounded Warrior's journey to go and start on the Fool's Journey with an open heart, taking a leap of faith. So the first was my Metatron read this morning, which brought in, during my Metatron read, I stopped to meditate into my inner child, which brought up a big message for you guys. So we're going to get into that too. Where's my little thingy? Where did she go? Oh well. All right. So anyway, this is my Metatron read from this morning. Okay, and so we're going to talk about what's come up in this energy after we roll the die. For the Twin Flames today, December 5th, 2021. Twin Flames, we have the Scorpio energy here. We have Neptune, so very dreamy. That's also Piscean energy. And also it's very interesting that came up because the first card, I think, was the castle that looks like Disney World. So then we have the number 4 again. There you go. Very much oriented around the 4. And anything that has 4, 4 quarters, baseball, anything with that kind of structure is coming up here. That stability, the need for stability. But we have Neptune here too, which is about finding the stability of your dreams. And then there's Scorpio here backing it up, which is very profound transformation to make that happen. And that might be bringing up some of that survival instinct here with the Scorpio energy, which goes very deep. So, getting into this message today. So, let's see. And if you haven't watched Magenta, if you watch Magenta, she put out a new video today, which is important about the energies of what she experienced in being sick. And the strand that came in because of the artificial virus and how to counteract that. It was very interesting. And yeah, there was something interesting too. I was watching a video, Michael Sala's video. I think I told you that already, but I hadn't finished the video, so I finished watching it this morning. And it was a U.S. Army soldier talking about his work on Ganymede, which is the moon of Jupiter. And it was very interesting because they show a map on Jupiter of the things he's talking about, so you have some kind of reference. And the first thing they talk about is the horseshoe, which is very interesting because Ophiuchus, the symbol for that is a horseshoe with a squiggly line across of it, like a sine wave in a way. So here comes the horseshoe again. I think I heard horseshoe from something else as well. So horseshoe's coming up big time. So the horseshoe part was the horseshoe. Now I'm trying to remember what he said about the horseshoe. The horseshoe points were very significant. And they had two sets of 6 points. They had the horseshoe 6 points, and then what he described as the ocean entry points within the moon. There were also 6 points there for entry sites. And then there was another grouping of the planetary stuff, the different colonies that they would go into at the bottom of the planet, as they showed on the map. And then there was a library over to the right. So you can check out that video if you'd like to. That, again, was Michael Salas regarding, it'll be in the title, Ganymede and the U.S. Army soldiers report on that. But again, I wanted to bring up the horseshoe and Ophiuchus symbol because that was very significant in bridging those two things. We're talking about Jupiter's moon. So, and when I traced the other 6 points that he drew besides the horseshoe, which was above the other 6 points, the entry points for the different oceans, they literally look like an upside down dipper, like the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. So that was interesting too, which is in, shoot, what's that constellation? Well, whatever it is, it came up for me in my read recently, a couple weeks ago, and I can't think of it. But anyway, there's a tie-in, and it will probably build, my guides will build on that for me to build it up to whatever they're trying to get to. But I'm just telling you, there's something significant about the connection there. So we're talking about Jupiter's moon, about Ophiuchus and the symbol of the horseshoe, and the sine wave across the horseshoe. And what else was coming up this morning before I get into that? Yeah, so I dealt the Metatron deck, and that was at 11:49 this morning. 11 is justice, 49 is the 9 of cups, the get your wish card. But it's also about just being self-satisfied, happy with yourself. And as soon as I dealt the cards, I'd gone outside because I forgot to put the seeds out for the birds. And so I wanted to put my feet in the grass as well. And as soon as I came in, I was singing, "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." So that was coming up. His truth goes marching on. And then when I wrote marching on, by accident, I wrote marthing on, like Martha. So the name Martha may be coming up for you. But I looked up the other things that had to do with Marth, because everything else is the name around the name Martha. So Marth Ambles came up, which was very significant here. And by the way, that song I wrote down at 11:55, which is, and his truth goes marching on, and then 55 is, it's 11:55 is justice and the truth, Excalibur. So Marth Ambles is an ailment unknown to and incurable by medical science. So that was all about fake diseases that one would make up so that Dr. Tuft could sell as tonics and medicines. They were called the quacks of old London from the early 18th century or 1700, around there. And the other ones were strong fives, moon Paul. So, maybe how women were affected by the moon was called this. But this could go two ways. They could be things he made up so that he could make money off of tonics and things like that. But it also could have just been alternative medicine at the time that did have to do with women's ailments that a man's world would have said were an illusion, or he was making it up to make money off of them. So that was very interesting. One of the other names was Hakograkal. So marthozite came up, which is an orthorhombic pyramid or pyramidal mineral containing copper, hydrogen, oxygen, stellium, and uranium. Okay, so here's this pyramid mineral. It's orthorhombic, marthozite. So if anyone knows anything about it, please comment below. I'm sorry, not stellium, it was selenium and uranium. So pyramidal mineral containing copper, hydrogen, oxygen, selenium, and uranium. And then the only other Marth words besides Martha was marthastroside, which is a steroid, and a steroid, of course, promotes muscle growth, glycoside, which is a sugar base. and it's 17 carbons arranged with 4 rings. So there's that number 4 again. The 17, of course, is the star, healing and dreams coming true, and the 4 is all about survival, which is not that dream energy of the 17, which is an 8, 17/8. Okay, so there's all these connections coming up. And notice that we had 17 carbons, and I talked about 1700 with the 18th century, and they were from different definitions here. So again, anything that was coming up with Marth or Martha may be significant to you right now. Okay. So the 5 is the Hierophant, but it's also freedom, change, and expansion. It's all about communication as well. 3s can be about communication too, but 5 is more dynamic, it's more worldwide, as opposed to 3 would be more in a social group on a lower scale, because the 3 is just coming together, so it's a small group, whereas 5 would be a very large group. So the colors that came up from this Metatron read today were lilac, white, and then orange, yellow, and pink, which were very interesting the way they grouped together, because lilac and white are basically the same energies, right? Because the lilac may be referencing the violet right at the crown, which is basically equates itself with white, because white is all colors, and light violet is supposed to mean the same thing. And then as you get to the orange, yellow, pink, those 3 colors always come up together in the compassion pictures, surrounded by indigo. So it's really holding that compassion there, and then the violet white is the same. It's the culmination of all the colors, which then we raise it right to the next level, which comes up in my next illustration there. We raise it to the next level to go into that 5D consciousness, right? It can be very flat in the 3D consciousness, but raising it an octave into the 5D consciousness. So then as I kind of was grouping the colors together, so, you know, I put a little arrow from lilac to white to show that they were connected, and then from orange to yellow and pink. So there was 3 lines connecting there. And then I was guided, then all of a sudden I saw 3 pyramids, so like in Egypt. And I was getting, all together now, children, like bring them all together. And they were talking about, and I'll show that to you real quick in my notes. So just at the top of the page there, see, where the 3 pyramids come up here. Let me see if I can make it a little bit clearer. So I saw those 3 pyramids, and then I was getting all together now of the compassion over here, with the higher love over here of the lilac and the white, and the three pyramids here. So again, it's bringing in Atlantis and the 3 pyramids, but it's about bringing everything into unity right now with compassion and higher love, which is basically the same thing, just coming from 2 perspectives. One from that white, all-encompassing color perspective, and another from the orange, yellowy, pink, specifically compassion perspective, as opposed to the whole, which compassion is referencing a different perspective of the whole. It's a very, very subtle difference there, but it's very interesting the way it was coming up all together now. And of course, the 3 was coming up from the 1. The first group had 2, the second group had 3, and then the 1 pyramid that brought them together. So we had the 1, 2, 3 jump, and then the 3 all together now coming together. And I was just talking about the 3 as opposed to the 5, of 3 coming together in a smaller group. So I started this Metatron read, and the underlying energy was about detaching with the number 37, which is unconditional love. The inner child with 36, which is the Atlas energy of the weight of the world, so going within to your inner child to see what's weighing on their shoulders. And then water, so don't forget to drink your water. They were really pushing about water now, how important it is for conduction, which also resonates with the definition that was coming up. Or was that another? I think I have another definition that's coming up too. Yeah. I just felt like I was in why can't I think of the name of the movie? You know, with Tom Cruise and what's his name? Where he has autism. And he's going, yeah, that's coming up right now. So that might be for somebody. So when I went to write water, because they're trying to express to us how important water is, that it's coming up as the chariot, which is the vehicle of infiltration, that water is your vehicle, right? So if you send love to your water before you drink it, it's a vehicle to go within, to change things from within, as opposed to trying to just pull something out of you. It gets to transmute it from within. So it's trying to give you that visual perspective so you understand how everything changes, that you can't just, that all the changes that are happening in raising our bodies and our consciousness, it can't just happen overnight. There has to be a process. There has to be a process and vehicles where we find to go in and change the things that we can't change from without, right? And what's the quote? To change things you can, and have the wisdom to let go of control of the things that you can't control. It's the same thing with the water. It's showing that for the things that you can't change on the outside, you need to understand how to change from within, and water is part of that, because we drink it every day. And so if we can infuse it with our love every day before drinking it, how much more powerful it is in connecting with not only our higher selves, but with the world as well, because it will raise our vibration. When I went to write water, though, I wrote wafer by accident. So I was guided to look that up as well. And the wafer is a soft, there's a couple definitions, of course. It's a soft disc, originally made of flour, and then later of gelatin in order to seal letters. And that's been coming up a lot in the cards, as well as attaching papers to each other. Or it's a disc of silicon or other semiconductors, like water is a conductor for you to drink to connect to your higher self, or other semiconductor on which an electrical circuit is produced. Or this is talking about electrical components. And communion, of course, of unleavened bread. And they're talking about communion as in connecting with your higher self, or you could literally think of it as connecting with Jesus, if that's the energy that you want to connect with on the other side when you're connecting to Source. So you see how everything parallels here. And so the sealed letters come up again, and they come up in the message of the day all the time. But we're really talking about the parallel of connection and water and the semiconduction, or any kind of conduction, what is able to connect to something else that you can't get to from the outside, that you can get to from the inside by using something like water. And electricity, for example, right? Because you can't see electricity, but it certainly can infiltrate things that you can't. And as well as magnetism and vibration. And I told you about using vibration the other day to heal a stone that was going through me. So we started out with the underlying energy of orange, pink, and yellow, which is the sunrise, is exactly the colors that came up in the read. But this card literally has those same colors, the orange, pink, and yellow, in the sunrise, where it meets the grass with white rays of light, which is the purification that we're in right now, and making it lilac or violet, the soft shades of purples, while sitting in the half of the sun that you can't see as the sun is rising, and it's not fully up in the sky yet, but it's like guiding you to go outside and sit in the grass in the morning as the sun rises, to do your meditation into your inner child, to see yourself in the part of the sun that you can't see above ground yet. See yourself sitting in the other half of the sun, just like the rainbow is an arc, but it's not. It's a circle that goes underground. You just can't see the other half of it. It's saying to go up and go outside and sit in the grass and do your meditation while the sun's coming up. Look up and don't look down. Look up. Look up to see all of this that's going on. See what you've been missing. Speak to your inner child to see what's weighing on them. Then lots of water for emotional well-being, perhaps a wafer if you need some kind of semiconduction or in which to seal letters with, or some kind of electrical component. The chariot, again, whatever is the chariot, the vehicle of infiltration that you can use for whatever connection that you need. So then when I did my inner child meditation, this is what was coming up. So my inner child just kept directing me to certain polarities, and I'm going to show you the list of polarities that were coming up. And a lot of the point of this list is perspective, number one, because some of these things on this list from another perspective could be categorized in one of the other columns. But this is the messages that I was getting to give you right now. So it doesn't mean this is in stone and this is the only way it can be seen. Okay. All right. So let's see if I can get my. I was just looking for my pointer. Where did it go? Where did it go? Okay. Well, I guess I'll use this one. I was looking for my skinny little sewing pointer because it fits really well, and I hope I don't like step on it somewhere because I don't know where it is. I don't think so. I guess I'll find it. Okay. So here's what my inner child was getting me to write down. All right, so we have the polarities. You know how I always tell you about the perpetrator on one side, the savior on the other side, and then the victims in the middle who's responsible for making the shift. Because when they make the shift in the middle, then it pulls the two polarities together. So you go from being the victim to the sovereign energy. So here we have the two polarities. Okay, polarity over here and polarity over here, and in the middle, right, is where you need to change from the victim that goes outside to the polarities into the sovereignty of the middle road, which, right, is that 0 point we want to get to. So the first one I wrote here was birth and death, which in the middle is coming up as life. And they were also guiding me to give you some of the in-between energies, like between life and birth in this polarity, right? Because it's not easy to birth, come out of that canal, but in between we grow, okay? So, and from life to death, we struggle, okay? So it's a lack of growth. We struggle instead. But we can choose to stay in the middle in life, to not struggle and not perhaps grow more than we have to. We can stay in that 0 point and connect from that 0 point, what's the word? That void that I'm trying to get to, okay? So then we have the matrix here, right? Because as we go into the matrix, that's an extreme polarity. This is all the templating we are born into. And then over here is the other side of that, which is the extra dimensionals, where we came from on the other side. And in between the human matrix and the extra dimensionals is the human angelic, that you are all part human and part ET or angelic here, multidimensional beings. Then we have the chaos over here, of extreme chaos, and the boredom over here, where peace is in the middle here, where in between you have your blood pumping, you're nervous or fast, and then over here your blood's not pumping, or you're understimulated and slow and relaxed, which can become boredom. And then we have the perpetrator, which I always talk about, and the savior, right? Where over here you're being abused and over here you're being saved. But as you bring it to the middle, you become your own perpetrator and your own savior, right? So you basically cancel them out and become sovereign. So over here, when it's not so polarized, it's more about learning and teaching. But as your vibration gets to the highest, it's like seventh dimensional. You don't need to learn and teach. You're just here to be a neutral observer, which is complete sovereignty. So it doesn't mean one's better than the other. It's just whatever you've chosen to come here to experience. So again, the perpetrator, remember, this could be just a wake-up call for you. Maybe you're not doing what's in your highest good and someone comes in to trigger you to wake you up. This also could be a past life thing where maybe you did this to them and they're coming back to pay this debt off so that you can then be free to have a happy life. And again, with the Savior and saved, well, what does the Savior do? They cradle you in their arms and put you to sleep. This can be in teaching as well, like when you're in school and they put you to sleep. We have unstable over here and then stability over here. And then in the middle, instead of being unstable or stable, how about just perpetual change and transition, allowing the perpetual change, because everything changes constantly in this universe. Then we have elation over here and grief, with content, joy, and happiness in the middle. In staying in that perpetual change, allowing yourself to roll with those changes and be happy no matter what. And on the way to elation is excitement. On the way to grief is disappointment and sadness. And then we have I love this one. We have torture, and this is really where the perspective comes in. You can choose to see that torture as torture, or you can choose to see it as a gift. So coming into that torture is punishment, and then on the other side is rejection and then abandonment. So is that a gift or is it an abandonment, right? Is that a punishment? It's up to your perspective to see which way it is. And you can choose to stay in the middle with your presence, being present, but also with your gifts, presence. It's all in perspective. And then we have the colors here of the white and the black, but there's two different perspectives here. So white, of course, is all colors combined, and black is no colors at all. But it's also the black hole, which is quantum energy, which we can't define in 3D because we're not ready for that yet. But that's what the black hole is. It's quantum energy. And then coming together in the gold, because the gold is referencing the Christ unity consciousness, a raised consciousness, raising the anti, right, from matter to antimatter. Very interesting there. And then we also have colors with red and blue, which is coming up as blood red, right? The war-bound masculine energy. And here's the indigo blue of the spiritual bound feminine. And then coming in the middle here, the white is in the middle here because that's the all. Over here where the blood, there's gray areas here though in the middle. Whereas up here between black and white, between black and white is not gray areas because that's all the spectrum of the colors of the rainbow between black and white. Whereas here, between red and blue, it's all gray area in between here. And white in the middle, that's where you want to go when you're dealing with red and blue. And then we have the gluttony of overindulgence, right? Being full or satiated, but then getting to gluttony. Or you can stay in the middle and be satisfied, as opposed to, on the other side, starvation or feeling empty or dieting because of lack. And then the last one I've listed here is too much and not enough or lack over here. And staying in the middle and being abundant and feeling whole. So in between those two is coming up as impoverished, envious, or jealous. Whereas on this side, too much is spoiled or unappreciative before it gets way overboard over here. You can stay in the middle of abundant and being whole. So remember, it's all about coming from the victim mentality to your sovereignty, and it's always your perspective to change that. So what happens when we get to love? Because you don't see love on this picture. Well, love's coming up in all of the positions because they all have a perspective of love in them, in helping you get to a place of being balanced again, right? So like we talked about with the perpetrator, well, maybe they're doing this to help you up. Maybe this is your mother, who helped to wake you up, and they came in to this lifetime to contract with you to specifically do that. And so that would be an act of love, even though you don't see it as that at the time. So there's always love in the mix here, all across the board. And of course, love and fear are usually considered opposites, right? But love is it all. It is the human embodiment of everything. So love even includes fear because it's part of being in this experience. And so to love all of the shadow parts and the high vibrational parts of yourself. And that is the idea behind love being in all 5 places here. So of course there's that main energy that everything is love or fear. If you're not in love, you're in fear. And if you're not in fear, you're in love. And of course we're always aiming towards that higher vibration, towards the middle here of that main love. But again, it's all love. And then free will. Free will. You can be the victim of duality or the sovereign of unity. And notice that will is the W of 2 V's, and V for me is co-creation, or it's creation, but we have 2 V's there. It's the co-creation of will. And I have that quote under my video too, in my details, which talks about that. Right? As humans, we have the choice to will ourselves into pain if we so choose to. So again, what's coming up from this is save yourself. Instead of allowing someone else to save you, save yourself, be your own savior from yourself, which really references to the twins, but to everyone in general. Save yourself from self. Save yourself, be the savior. From yourself, be also your own perpetrator, right? Especially when you're dealing with your other self. Are you learning what you want to learn? So remember, we go into a lot of these polarities where we're in a circumstance that we really don't want to be in. And maybe you thought you did before. Maybe you did want to be in that circumstance before, but now you've changed and shifted. And so that means it's time for you to shift into something else. All right, so you got that done. So the rest of this message from the Metatron energy, and then I was being guided to, I haven't done my run in a bit. I've been doing some inside exercises and my yoga stuff, but I hadn't run in a bit. So I went out to run today. But run in the sun, or just move your body in the sun, taking a walk, whatever you want to do, where land meets sea, to a fairy tale land of the hermit's message, now waxing to the full moon. Watch your signs and synchronicities and your birds, right, for your emotional happiness, right? You may be resonating with the earth. You know, when you look out the windows and see the birds and the grass and the flowers, whatever it is that you like to commune with, that's bringing you your emotional satisfaction. And they're also bringing you signs and messages. So then evaluate and review what's come up for you to see new perspectives, right? Because you always might see something from one perspective, and when you get polarized, you need to go to the opposite to understand how you're polarized, because you can't know if you're polarized or not unless you know what the opposite is. So see those two opposites in order to merge the two together and to release that polarization. So it's all about, you know, collapsing it to the center today. The dance of the masculine and feminine, the leadership of answering the call of that dance between the masculine and the feminine to shift when you need to, right? So if you're too much in your masculine and you're realizing it's polarizing, it's just a matter of perspective and shifting to your more feminine in that aspect in whatever you're doing or thinking at that moment. And walk away within and take a pause. And then purify. That's the grounding, integrating, and mastering. With the King of Swords, the masculine, that purity is a big deal right now. And the diamond light with innocence of the white wing was coming up. And then the gold wing of Big Bird, which is the feminine, which is that color spectrum, along with the gold, as opposed to the pure white, innocent, and wing, which is coming up as the masculine. The Queen of Swords with priorities to stretch with the orange of the Queen of Wands and the Fire Dragon and the Sun. And again, getting your body moving to get that energy unstuck. But it's bringing up the white, and the gold is coming up as the 12 and the 13. Because that was coming up the other day in my read about the masculine being the 12. And that was coming up from Ascension Glossary. So the 12 is the feminine, the 12 is the masculine, the father. The 13 is the mother. And that's coming up as the father being the purity of kind of like that King of Swords energy. But the Queen of Swords is coming up more as the gold energy of it's taking you into the next cycle, the 13. 12 is the end of the cycle, but 13 is the transition into the next, and then 14 begins the next cycle. So it's very interesting. So, and there was very beautiful here today. The weather was nice. There was a lot of birds around and squirrels. I put some seeds out for them, so everybody was very active today. And then when I was guided to go out and run, it was cool because on my way back from my run, a block before I got home, I ran into my daughter's friend, who I don't see anymore because she moved downtown. So it was perfect timing. Right as I got to that intersection, she just drove up and started honking at me to stop and talk because I haven't seen her in a bit. So back to the Metatron read at 337, which is the 3 of Abundance and the Empress, and the 37 of the King of Cups. The Fire Dragon Sun, again, getting that passion up in order to inspire you to move your body so that you can release some of that stuck energy. Red light, green light, which can reference going out driving somewhere or just doing something that you want. Journey on and receive healing then by coming together in joy. At sunset, again, you are held in letting go of the past, and yet communing with your ancestors, reflecting you in the light. Green then comes up for the heart, and the Knight of Cups healing, which can be your counterpart as well. Karmic knots of the twin flames in the electromagnetic grid being released here. It's like the grid picture too is like two people reaching out in connection, right? So they're open-ended on either side, but they're also connected to each other. Communication, freedom, and communication is really important today. Making sure you're not just sweet, but you say your authentic feelings. So when you're hurt, say you're hurt and why. It's not about screaming or freaking out at somebody. It's about communicating with each other and being open to that and not defensive to what the other person says. It's really important to speak your truth, but also to be able to listen without taking offense, right? Without taking all the blame or going into that victim mentality. It's so important to communicate and grow, where land meets sea meets sky, and all three meet you in a brand new day to be inspired, which is that number 4, the passion, right? The inspiration. The yellow bee then pollinating the flower or gives love and attention to help, right? To help it grow. And then the pink, then you turn it on yourself for self-love and nurture together with a hint of gold sparkle, then becomes compassion for all. The underlying energy is about waking in the grass and sunrise, to talk to your inner child, and then make sure lots of water, shower and drink lots of water. Visualize flowers and things growing, which Magenta was talking about too. That you are healthy, that you're happy, abundant, whole, and full of life. That you are not dying, but you are living. The first section here is moving the body after hermiting to see new perspectives and to view Akashic records. To purify with that diamond light of the masculine and fire up with the dragon's breath to get your passion going and your body going, that movement. And then 2 is the dream message, which is more going to the feminine energy of leading to do the dance. The big bird of the feminine, the Queen of Swords, of the light spectrum, going through the chakras and then energizing your wings with the orange and golden, which is really, they're just saying are the same, right? Because yellow, the color of gold is more orange, right? It's not just yellow. So they're bringing up that energy of gold, which is between that orange and gold and yellow color, golden though, with the sparkle. It's raising the sacral energy to the next octave, to the Christ consciousness, the unity consciousness. The sacral energy, again, of the Christ consciousness, or raising an octave to that Christ consciousness in the journey of the tree of life. The third section is the birds with signs of happiness, and taking a pause to take it all in. The connecting, allowing you to heal and stretch, and then perhaps sit and do what I explained to you before, or in your own way, where you receive that healing hand, perhaps from Sandalphon or whoever you resonate with, and then perhaps imagine a magnet above your head, or that can be Metatron as well, pulling all the things that don't belong in your energy out of you as the other healing hands then heal you. And then the sunset card came up, and it was sunset here. It was really cool how that came together at 412 for, again, of the Emperor and control, and the 12 of the Hanging Man and seeing a new perspective. And remember, the sunset card is all about endings and compassion and knowing that you're held every day, even though it's an ending, so not to feel so bad when other things end. It's just a part of every day. For the Knight of Cups, twin flame, or your other, or just you being love, just remember to intend your healing to you both, right? Because you're a part of each other. You don't want to send negative energies to your other because they're connected to your etheric body. So it's basically just going to come right back on you. Infiltrating the dark encoding also of any kind of illness coming up by surrounding that energy with the polarity, right? So a death code or an dark energy that wants you to be sick or die, you would polarize that with the opposite of that, which is surrounding it with that love light of growth and things blooming like flowers and seeds, which is part of what Magenta was talking about, but also just the affirmations that you would say, I am healthy, I am alive, I'm abundant, I'm whole. In order to surround any negative energies, polarize that energy. as opposed to trying to just get rid of it. It's the same thing as the uncomfortable energy in your solar plexus. Instead of trying to just push it away and pretend that it's not there, or to just pull it out, it's literally sending love to it. Go into it and give it that positive energy in order to break it up from within. Okay, so now we go to the read. I just have the twin flame read in front of you today. And that was cut and dealt at 10:44 last night. I'll show you the picture of that. So here is the read. This is the Syrian Starseed deck, for those of you not familiar. That's the basic read of the read you see on the table. And here is the full read on the table, 7 decks. It's a lot of energy. Okay, so for those of you not familiar with my reads, the reads I use in this, or the decks I use in this read, I have the Romance Angels, the Tarot of Sexual Magic, the Rider-Waite Mini. This is the Golden Universal. I have the Gilded Tarot over there, and the Numerology deck here, as well as the Syrian Starseed deck, which is the main deck for the read. And so here we go. And at 11 o'clock right on the dot, which is 00, source energy backing up the 11 of justice, which is truth and balance, the word Halluces came up again, which again was referring to that big machine underneath Switzerland and France underground that the elites have control of to do experimentation. One of the pieces of equipment there was Alice's, but they're hydro whatever equipment down there. So, and if that refers to something else for you, that's great. I finished clarifying the read at 11:15, which is justice and then the devil, or the shadow side. The major arcana were Luna, which is the moon, guidance, which is the Hierophant, and reflection, which is the hermit. Those are the main energies in the read. Before the read, the higher self came up, which is like the high priestess. And after the read, reason came up, which is the emperor. We had 2 swords, 2 pentacles, 3 cups, and 1 wand. And the court cards were the Queen of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles. And then we had the 9 of Cups as well, which isn't a court card, but it can be a person for sure who's emotionally in their sovereignty. And then after the read, we had the Knight of Cups and the King of Wands. So like I said before, we had all four fours come up here. So we had 4 quadruple 4s, we had double 3s and double 8s. So we're complete with the 4s. We had the 33 of the Christ vibration, that unity consciousness, standing up for oneself without getting triggered, or at least not starting a fight, walking away if you do get triggered, and also not blaming yourself, right? So don't victimize yourself, as well as don't victimize the other. So we then have the double 8s of the twins dancing side by side between their masculine and feminine. We have the 6 of the lovers, the 9 of the hermit, and also the 46 of the 6 of cups, the children in the garden, the 69 of the ace of pentacles, which is that offer of a brand new life, of perfect contentment, or perhaps time, money, and effort. We also have 48 of the walking away and within of the 8 of cups, the 34 of the 8 of wands, that energetic exchange or arrows of love, and also in a lesser sense 23 of the king of wands and 89 of the phi energy, expanding and contracting, or staying in the middle and just reflecting instead. On the code line, it was all about surrender. The S was separated from render. And when S is by itself, it's usually Sophia for me, but sometimes it's other things. So whatever it resonates for you is fine. The code line is all about the number 10, coming from 6 and 4. 6 is the lovers, 4 is the emperor, and 10 is the wheel of fortune, of course, and that high vibration of the 1010 trill. And the messages came up as this: expanding and contracting, I am that I am to the nth degree. The sage or wise one, or clearing of the Queen of Pentacles, lovers who may be a little bit off center, perhaps off to the left a little bit, in order to, in reference to your rendering of Sophia. I was just getting the salt of the earth though as well. Perhaps a 5th clearing that you've done, or the 5th clearing, that can also be the 5D clearing of the Queen of Pentacles Bliss, regarding surrender, Sophia, and your render. So whatever that means to you. But one of the words that came up to be defined here had to do with having sex. So also the back of the Wise One, of the Queen of Pentacles, or this could be the Queen of Pentacles lovers, or being Christ-like, to screw, or to fold, to cover, to shove, to fill, to stuff or stick, and surrender to it. So this could be somebody back clearing or doing another clearing, a fifth clearing of the Queen of Pentacles bliss. And that can just be bliss. It can be blissful communion, you know. But it's all about surrender. But Sophia is being defined here, the Sophia surrender, or your ender, or your rendering of something. Your rendering is your perspective on what this is going to be. It's always your perspective. So I start this read with the moon card. Luna is upright. And beneath that is and of course that's the underlying energies right there with the mini cards on top. And underneath the moon, from the bottom up, is the Four of Pentacles, which for me in this deck is the Divine Masculine's heart in the Bat Cave. So the Four of Pentacles was upright. The Eight of Wands was upright. The Four of Swords and the Four of Wands, you notice three of the four fours were right here. They were both upright as well. The only one that was reversed was the higher self, which also can be a secret passion, or someone who's not in their integrity or not using their intuition. The Divine Masculine's heart in the energetic exchange, or arrows of love, in the 5D with the Divine Feminine in union with higher self. But the higher self isn't upright. So it's about the secret passion, or more the 3D energy of it, or the need to use your intuition about the connection, with no option but to tell the truth of the energetic exchange with the Page of Cups reversed, perhaps the one they rejected at 1207, which is the Hanging Man in the Chariot. The King of Cups starting over with the Knight of Swords reversed, and the Knight of Wands who's upright, perhaps shaming the Dark Knight. Out in your fuzzy socks, the Knight of Wands, super tramp, riding across the desert in the English Patient perhaps, only to find that they've died. The Trot from two different angles, the white horse showing the left and the brown horse showing the right, and the Twin Towers with the sun rising behind them, or the pyramids with Scorpio and Sagittarius making sure they clean up the mess afterwards. Timing is off for the Page of Swords to step up and message third party through work. The Knight of Swords reversed, maybe holding their tongue with issues at work between the Page of Swords and the Knight of Swords who's reversed. Little Red Boots, or Little Red Riding Hood perhaps, up on their high horse and hanging from the rafters, or a curtain disaster. With Pisces reversed, Cancer and Sagittarius, Scorpio all upright, and Libra reversed as well. Love yourself first, and beneath that was heart-to-heart conversations. So have those heart-to-heart conversations, and then make sure to love yourself first. There's lover's bliss here, giving up trying to express their feelings, with two lovers out in the cold, or the Page of Cups reversed with the King of Cups upright, with music sheets and roses and a bow, perhaps, an olive branch, twisted pillar to twisted pillar, or spoiled child and older man, or kids sneaking around, doing what they're not supposed to be doing, with domestic harmony in 46, which is those loving children, or a past soulmate or past life connection, and then music beneath that with 32 of the journey, and that could literally be the group journey. With a wake-up call to the Knight of Swords in the sun, exposing all, standing up for self, at war in a heated exchange with the world upside down, or with the Divine Feminine, the 5D, all the flock has been erased, the field taken down. There's no more sheep to follow. Cut off at the pass here, pulled the rug out from underneath them. With Aquarius and Leo upright, Pisces reversed, the world and Pisces were both reversed here at night or at the full moon coming up, ending holding their tongue with the King of Cups upright in order to have domestic harmony. And again, domestic harmony can be your home, but it also can be your body. At 1227, which is the Hanging Man and inspiration of the Ace of Wands. I think all the aces were upright in this read, which is really good for new beginnings. they all were. Yeah, I think so. So the most underlying energies here was interesting because it was coming up as, wait. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. So we have big love transformation here and recovery. Implementing a plan to be out in the cold and powerless to the truth at night without peace. And so why is that your plan? Or why is it their plan? We have the Page of Wands inspired by new information of the magician who's fully in their power here, who may have missed an opportunity or in need of help, or it's coming up as little shaman elves, right? The ones who want to help be the assistants to the shaman as the magician. In the recent past here is the Page of Pentacles reversed with no curiosity at all. Hanging out at night on a drive perhaps, or Pisces or Capricorn and Cancer hanging out. The world incomplete without their sunshine, and Pisces reversed, or the Divine Feminine 5D, drained and dumping emotional attachments or multiple loads, with the King of Pentacles upright over it with the King of Cups, which also can be two people mastering, one mastering their time, money, and energy, and the other one mastering their emotions. A big offer from the Queen of Pentacles upright here to come together with the Page of Swords and the Queen of Wands, or in a message with just the Queen of Wands. In need of help, the Queen of Wands hanging out at night with Cancer, or for a ride or travel, ascending with an upside-down world, and Pisces and Leo both reversed here, or kids and pets, no longer confused about the King of Pentacles, getting over a loss or regret with the King of Cups. Receiving a big offer from the Queen of Pentacles to come together to see if they can get on base with the Queen of Wands. The foundation here is guidance, or Taurus upright, and the Ace of Pentacles upright, an offer to home or union, or perhaps an offer on a house, maybe getting a house for a steal. The King of Swords upright, trapped by a group, or the King of Swords and their hostage are coming together, or literally someone's in prison and having visitors. The central energy is the Queen of Swords and the Lovers, or Gemini, and that could be the twins as well. The King of Cups upright and the Queen of Cups upright are apart and yet together as a soul tie in the 5D connection, or the King of Cups is with the Queen of Swords, Lover, or Gemini, while the Queen of Cups is with their children, focused on their heart and resting. The challenge being the Queen of Pentacles' secret passion, conflicted by the Emperor's lack of love, jealousy, insincerity, rejection, or healing in the pursuit of happiness, coming out about the Bliss with their fallen angel, and receiving big love from the Page of Pentacles reversed in physical reunion, hanging out, inspecting every inch for the harsh truth of new passion, standing up, defending the soulmate as the kids, or sliding banister. Bring in the clowns. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to, cry if I want to, cry if I want to. So that's coming up. And someone's saying, I can cry if I want to, and I'm free to get over it too if I want to. And so now here's the Hermit reversed, and the Hierophant Queen of Wands, perhaps with Virgo in their chart, and the Knight of Pentacles upright and the Page of Swords reversed, spreading rumors of dissatisfaction with the world and or Pisces upside down, or the Divine Feminine in 5D, and the Queen of Swords receiving a performance or watching TV to distract themselves. So we have the High Priestess reversed, or this can be a dark priestess without the keys, or Aries, or a secret passion walking away, or the Fool leaving Taurus or marriage behind for evil Empress using sexuality to control at 12:59, which is the moment before 1 o'clock, the 11th hour, so to speak. Justice, divorce, in disconnect or at a distance, receiving love from the Lover, standing up to the Knight of Wands with news of magic and self-satisfaction. Or a wizard is out from behind the curtain to end the nightmare with the Beast, Leo, or Child on Elm Street in a sudden event, epiphany, or sexual exchange, holding on or saving to implement a plan to be free. And soon here's the Six of Cups loving each other, not sharing calls or an announcement with dependent or about their powerlessness or loss of power, money, or independence. Depressed but getting back on the horse with good news For the Ten of Cups upright family or emotional happiness with 2 out in the cold, perhaps with issues at work or no job and looking for it, or with justice, Libra, or in a divorce and taking a break, or court is recessed, or Libra sleeping with Earth with Aquarius. The twin flames seeing themselves as the 3 of Swords reversed, healing, the Knight of Pentacles offering to help find peace and working to align with the Empress post-war, with the King of Wands upright and the Queen of Pentacles upright, with separation, chemistry, give your relationship a chance, reconciliation, and trust, all for the twin flames. Around them or how they're seen is the 3 of Wands reversed, perhaps looking back or going back to the past, as the Page of Wands is upright and the Page of Pentacles is reversed, detoxing and taking a load off, walking away from a secret passion in surrender, challenge, or the block being the 4 of Cups reversed, starting over out in the cold, perhaps with new passion offered from the past, and surrender. So pride comes up here really strongly, as well as new beginnings, a green environment, abundance, love, and teaching and learning all came up as really super significant. And of course, surrender. With the 2 of Wands reversed and the Star reversed, with no options to eat out perhaps, and perhaps depressed about that, in need of hope, and the 9 of Cups being self-satisfied, starting over in a death, ending, dark night, or transformation, taming the beast with innocent love, performing for sick pups perhaps, getting over their loss and regret, satisfied, leaving the Emperor and the Knight of Cups reversed, or jealousy and rejection in disconnect or at a distance with the King of Wands. Or the Knight of Cups reversed is causing the disconnect or distance between the Emperor and the King of Wands. Also, this could be 2 personas of the same person. The Emperor could be his work personality and the King of Wands could be his home personality. And then we have the excuse me, the Divine Masculine in energetic exchange, in 5D connection, in union with secret passion at night, with guidance, marriage, Taurus, and or healing the past, missed opportunity, with the Queen of Swords challenged by the Queen of Pentacles, and the innocent loving connection, as well as loving children, and starting over by not being an island to self. The Hermit coming out, satisfied with themselves, walking away and within, with the Emperor, with the Knight of Cups reversed, in disconnect or at a distance from the King of Wands, who's with the 10 of Pentacles, family, business, or community, or heaven on earth. So at night, the Page of Pentacles reversed. So it can be a child who needs help with their homework, can be someone who's missed an opportunity, or someone who's literally an opportunist because they've become lazy because everyone always gave them everything they ever wanted without asking. So again, the child who becomes the opportunist because people coddled them. At night, the Page of Pentacles reversed, with the world upside down, or needing closure, or trying to get to the end of a big cycle here, with guidance of the Queen of Swords, challenged by the Queen of Pentacles, and the Hermit upside down, losing their mind or coming out about it, healing the 6 of Cups, loving children or soulmate of the past, to start over, being self-satisfied and going within. When the Emperor and the King of Wands are having a hard time with the Knight of Cups reversed and their jealousy, rejection, and insincerity at 434, which is the Emperor and the 8 of Wands, that's when it's time to walk away and within, right? When someone needs to deal with their thing that's in a relationship, it's time for you to have within time. So basically that's all that was saying. So let's see what the cards have to say about the messages from today. The cards are being a little bit resistant and shuffling together. All right, our takeaway from the read today. Take a deep breath. All right, we have the hyena. So there's something, somebody's up to something here. The hyena is insecure, and so they make fun of other people. Right, they're a little sneaky little devil there, a little impish there. And there we have the sweet songbird singing their song, purifying the air, while the hyena is kind of slithering away with their tail between their legs. right? Half light, half dark kind of energy there. And that can reference the eclipse as well of the moon, as we've been talking about a lot of moons here, whether it's our moon or Jupiter's moon. And clearing the air, right? So half is cleared, but half is not. And then here we have the little mouse here too. And the mice were coming up a lot yesterday. That was with a client too. So I don't know if you're having issues with mice, but the mouse is all about, the nervous Nelly. They have this rainbow around them, but there's so much dark. It's still a struggle for them because they're such a little guy. And these could be the two little guys who are speaking up for themselves, right, to the bully at school. That could be as well. They're so cute. So here we have the dragonfly, which is the two hearts that beat as one. And the star, which can be superficial, right? They get coddled a lot. A lot of young energies here. Then we have the otter, which is that sweet little child with their belly hanging out of their diaper. And then there's someone taking care of them, but they're old and they're tired. And look, this is a newbie. There's a lot of new ones. This is babies or young children or just new ones into awakening. Where, and these are the new little ones speaking up for themselves to the bully over here, which is so cute. It's like they just hatched out and they're already telling the hyena where to go, where to put it. And again, the high vibe energy of the two dragonflies that mate into a heart, pulsing as one. But again, the problem with the superficiality of the star, who's always been coddled and had everything handed to them. And then here's that sweet little otter who's curious about everything. And then here's one whale taking care of all of those people. So who's with all of these youngins or babies or new people on the ascension journey? Okay. And perhaps now the person who needs help is the hyena, because all these younger ones are putting them in their place. And the hyena is kind of like slithering away like I didn't get my way. But this whale over here is struggling, taking care of all these energies over here. There's a lot of dark energy coming in. So yeah, they're just all little energies. And then after the earthworm, we have the collective awakening here. And there's the raccoon in the dark. And there's another egg about to open. So it's like you might start to feel inundated because maybe the pace of people awakening is speeding up here. This is what I'm getting. So that's why you're feeling it. That it's the struggle of a lot of more people awakening. The bottom of the deck is the bunny, which is all the fears. As I'm just talking about the polarities, the bunny is the one who's scared all the time. And there's God right behind them, right? So Mr. Ed always comes up as the Saggy God. So when there's polarization of fear, there's polarization of love, which is God, okay? So it always gets balanced and counteracted, so you don't have to worry. Somebody's always watching out for them. We got the bear there too. And again, that can reference the matrix, right? Because they're plugged in. Or this can reference being fully activated because you're directly plugged into source. See, there's always two perspectives. Okay, and there's the moody blues there of the independent one, and there's the you, dear one, staying very balanced in your middle road there, being very neutral between your yellows, greens, and blues of the solar plexus, the heart, and the throat chakra. Okay, so let's see what the journey of love has for you. The person who's always gotten their way before is not getting their way anymore. This is what the energy is coming up as well. The person who never had to work for anything because everyone always just handed everything to them on a silver platter is being taken away. And now they have to do it for themselves. All right, so this is from the Journey of Love. The message for today, the heart fire. The unfolding of the rose within the heart and the Christ consciousness infiltrating the one of the magician here with all their tools on board, right? All of their magic coming through, their awakening, gifts received. So those who've been awake already are really receiving gifts. And then again, there's a lot of people awakening now and everybody's shifting up a notch, whoever's doing the work, right? So a lot of gifts received were coming up in that polarization chart that I showed you too. So it's really about infiltration of that Christ consciousness, the unity consciousness, your abilities, your ability to bless your water before you drink it, anything that can get in, whether that's water, whether it's electricity, magnetism, vibration, anything that can infiltrate from within that you can't outwardly as a human. You have tools here, as well as your psychic gifts here. And oh, look what else, it's red and green. I wasn't even picking up on that. So this is Christmas, and being able to see more orbs and things like that. And look, this orb against the green looks very different against the red, right? You can't see it as well against the green, but you can see it really well against the red. And what they're saying again, it's all love, whether it's the red or the green, it's still all love. It's that unity consciousness, okay? And then riding the wave, the cosmic wave, the 60 of peace, finding a peaceful place, just going with the flow, okay? With that there's that very compassionate energy with the indigo and the magenta energies, which definitely came up when I was meditating today, the pinks and the purples. A lot of times the green and the emerald and purple will come up for me together, but today the pink, the magenta and purple were coming up together. So a lot of compassion for yourselves with the energies right now. And again, being soft, feeling into your pearly side. The 47 is your signs and synchronicities, your choices, and perhaps confusion sometimes if there's too many options. But if you're confused, then you're not balanced. And then perhaps you need a nap or a walk to rebalance yourself, or just a short meditation, because you have Hieros Gamos coming up here, right? This is hitting that point of, this is spontaneous healing as well. Because when you hit 100% of your DNA, that's when spontaneous healing comes into play. But this is Hieros Gamos, justice, truth, and balance, the eruption of light within. And the bottom of the deck is sensual awakening, the 64, which are the two numbers that came up in the code line today with the number 10. So again, the sensual awakening, the 10 of swords, when it's reversed for me is bliss, because that's when the swords are all falling out of the back. So this is that sensual awakening where all the pain leaves. After the hidden beauty of grief, because the 45 is that 5 of cups, of not letting go of the past, of the loss, the regret, the shame and the guilt, being very black and white or gray, comes the bliss when you let all of the swords just melt away. So that's the underlying energy of allowing the Christ consciousness into your heart, allowing that rose to blossom in your heart, allowing your gifts to come on board, allowing yourself to go with the flow and ride that cosmic wave of peace and moving to a more peaceful place that resonates with you more, to go to a much softer place where you can really access the pearl that resonates with you. That softness, that glow, the bacteria that gets in, the infiltrator, that then turns into something else, which then is what connects you to everybody else, right? So the infiltrator that we alchemize into this just naturally, because it has to rebalance itself again, becomes our commonality, that we've all had that bacteria get into us and then change to something good, right? We've all become something better because of the difficult things we've been through, and that's where we all connect. And somebody could be dealing with pearls as well. But it's calling you to be in a soft energy here as you come into Hieros Gamos, or a spontaneous healing, perhaps. All right, so let's see what they want me to read here. The first card out was the hyena. And then we have the number 1, the heart fire. Hyena is under fire. I know he's in the beginning. The lower vibrational guys are all in the beginning. All right, so humor, wit, and sarcasm for the hyena. The hyena personality is a jokester and a crowd pleaser, but below the surface there are unfulfilled dreams to be realized. When the hyena card appears, it's time to reflect on your reliance on sarcasm and humor to express your truth. Are you using jokes to hide old resentments in relationships, or to mask things that you feel uncomfortable discussing? What would happen if you took your goals seriously? When in balance, they can be charming, witty, and fun to be around, but when they're out of balance, they're scrappy, petty, and suspicious. To bring them into balance, sobriety. So there we have some alcoholism coming up there as well with the hyena there. And for this one, number 1. I don't remember reading this one recently at all. Passion is igniting within you. It's not a time when things will remain still, even if the change is only sensed as a subtle stirring underneath the surface of things. Even if slow at first, passion will unfold from within your heart, soon to be burning bright like a sun unrestrained. You're learning how to ride the waves of passion. Through eruptions of heat and descent into coolness, bearing the absence of fire only to realize it is returning to you again. Ride its waves, knowing that passionate bliss will always return to a heart that is on fire with a love for life. The coolness allows us to experience the heat. Once you realize that the fire emerging from within you will ebb and flow, you will trust in its presence. You will realize that whether your passionate fire is obvious, drawing you into life, or dwelling quietly within, gaining power from the deepest sources of your being, soon to rise once more, it is a constant in your heart. Accept the fire of your heart and know that this is how you are meant to be, on fire with love for all that is. The Oracle brings you a message. Trust the passion and the fire of your heart to guide your decisions now. What would make you feel most alive? Choose that. If you're feeling a lack of genuine passion in your life, take comfort that it is awakening in your own heart now, bringing something that has been long in rest back to life. And the poem reads, and you notice there's a lot about the polarity chart that I showed you there. Because it's saying when you realize you're polarized one way, look to the opposite of that to see how to bring yourself back to the center again and to balance again. But also it might be triggering you to look at what you're doing and are you still resonating with that and enjoying it, or maybe you need to shift into something else. So the poem here reads, life unfolds in wondrous ways and time together fills the days with unexpected gifts beyond our wildest dreams. Like open hearts as feelings start to face the longing when we part, our souls know this is more than what it seems. In gratitude I offer prayer, with thanks for this love so rare, asking guidance on this sweet sojourn. The answers come in tears that flow, and emotions raw and smiles that show. Becoming one is worth the wait, until I can return. So make sure you drink that water and get that rest. Enjoy in nature. Put your feet in the grass. Meditate in the morning at sunrise if you want. And rise and be loved, guys. Take a deep breath. I'll see you soon. Have an amazing day, guys. Bye.